Good Saturday morning, everybody. It's September 15th, 2018. We didn't get much rain so far. It's, what time is it? It's about 11 a.m. I know that the storm kind of stalled and it's sitting like right over North Carolina. And we're going to get some outer bands of rain this afternoon, from what I understand. But we made out okay here so far. But the main reason I wanted to get on here today, oh yeah, sorry for the noise in the background, I'm doing laundry. I wanted to get a little more in depth about picking a school for CDL training, as well as some items I think you'll need to help you out while you're training. So let's just get into it. You've got a couple options as far as schools go. Some community colleges have CDL schools. There's also private companies that do CDL training, as well as company-sponsored training. I'll go over the pros and cons of each with you. With a community college, some of those colleges will actually give you credit toward a degree, and I wouldn't say most of the time, I would say some of the time, the classes may be a little more expensive than your private companies. But you can get student loans for that. And same thing goes for if you go through a private company. You can also get a student loan, defer your payments until after you've worked for I think it's like 90 days or something. With private schools, please do your research. Some are fly-by-night, some are really good. I went through Shipper's Choice and they're very good. No issues whatsoever. Oh, and they have free refresher training for life. You know, if you say, for example, you get your CDL, you go to work for a company, you only work for them for 6 months or whatever, and you decide, hey, I found a better job doing something else, so I'm going to go do that for a while. Then something happens, you've got your CDL to fall back on, you've decided, hey, a couple years down the road, I need to get back into driving to make some quick money. It's a good idea to go back through that school to get a refresher course. That way when you go to work for whatever company, you'll be ready to go, and they won't have to feel like they need to completely retrain you, because driving a big rig 18-wheeler is a perishable skill, believe it or not. If you don't do it every day, you start losing some skills. Shifting, backing, turning. You lose those skills. I mean, because, you know, you're driving something that's 65 feet long, okay? You'll lose those skills if you don't practice them every day. The company-provided training. The two that I've seen that people go through a lot, the two companies are Swift and CR England. Swift has, I think they have 3 places where you can go train. One's in Richmond, Virginia. I can't remember where the other 2 are, but there's 3 places to train. CR England, I think there's only 1 place to train, and that's in Utah. Again, talk to people. Maybe try to talk to some people that have been through those programs, get their thoughts on it. Before I go to work for a company, excuse me, I'm going to turn this off. Before I go to work for a company, or if I'm even considering going to work for a company, the first thing I'll do is I'll go to Indeed.com or Glassdoor.com, and I'll get reviews from previous employees. Yeah, you could have some people that have been in there that are just total jerks, and they're going to give a false review because they're pissed off or whatever. but most of the time, there's people on there that will give accurate reviews, or at least from their point of view. So that's a tool for you. The good thing about going through a community college or a private school, nobody owns you, okay? You want to go to work for ABC Trucking Company tomorrow? You've been with them for a week or two. You decide, you know what, these guys are jerks. I don't want to work here anymore. I want to go to work for 123 Trucking Company. They have nothing over you because you've either gotten a student loan or you've paid for that schooling up front to get your CDL. Now, on the flip side of that coin, you don't want to be job hopping either, because that follows you. And again, that's with any job. But I realize and I appreciate and I understand that there's a lot of turnover in trucking companies. And a lot of that is because of the pay. You could go to work for one trucking company. Like I said, I went to work for Schneider. That was my first trucking job right out of CDL school. And they were paying 34 cents a mile. Not bad. Not the greatest, but it wasn't bad. I got $15 stop pay. That means every stop that I went to after the first stop, I got an extra $15. Let's see, what else did they do? Oh yeah, if I drove, if my haul was under 100 miles, I got an extra 12 cents per mile on top of the 34 cents a mile, so that was cool. They had benefits. They had pretty decent benefits. So again, it was a decent company to start with. Plus, they're very safety conscious. They taught me a lot above and beyond what I learned in CDL school. And keep in mind, when you go to CDL school, and it doesn't matter if it's through a community college or a private school or company training, their job is to do one thing, and that's to get you your CDL. That's it. If you want to advance beyond that and advance your skills, that's something you're going to have to do while you're on the job. All right, continuing on. If you do the company providing training through Swift or CR England or whatever company, most of the time you will do a 1-year contract with that company. In other words, if you go to work for them, they're going to pay to send you through CDL school. They want their money back out of you, okay? So you'll work for them for whatever time specified in your contract, and you'll have to pay them back, and that money will come directly out of your check every week. Again, keep in mind, you go to work for that company and you do the company provided training, settle in for a year, because otherwise you're going to be paying back that training. Now, I believe they prorate it. Like if you're there for 6 months, then you only have to pay back half the cost of training. But I can tell you right now, if you get mad and upset and you want to leave, oh yeah, you can leave. I mean, but you're going to be paying through the nose for that CDL training. So again, keep that in mind. That's why I said it's so important for you to do your research on these companies before you go to work for them. All right, with that in mind, let's move on. Suggested supplies that I think you'll need for CDL school. The very first thing, me personally, that I would get is my CDL permit. Go to your local DMV, and they will give you a booklet on what the testing is at DMV, because in order to get your CDL permit, the only thing you have to do is you have to take a written test. That's it. You're going to have to take general knowledge, combination vehicles, and air brakes. That's for the Class A CDL. If you want to get it just a Class B, it's going to be general knowledge and air brakes. You don't have to worry about combination vehicles. Again, what I was saying in my last video I suggest that you just go ahead and suck it up and get the Class A, even if you're going to be driving a dump truck, because you may go to work for a company that they have dump trailers. So you'll be, driving a dump truck. Your dump bed will be full, and then they'll also want you to pull a dump trailer behind that. Well, once you put that trailer on there, that's a combination vehicle. You got to have a Class A CDL. Again, if you don't need the Class A CDL, it's still good to have it, okay? Because you may not be in that company for forever. You may decide you want to go over the road or, drive a tractor trailer. It's just my personal opinion. You do what you want. So I would say get your permit first. You're also going to have to get a physical before you get your permit. You're going to have to get a DOT physical. Whatever school you're going to go through, a lot of those schools will partner with local doctors for DOT physicals, and the prices are usually at a discounted rate. For example, with my physical, I went through Shipper's Choice. They had a chiropractor, believe it or not, a chiropractor that did the DOT physical, which was fine. I mean, there's nothing in depth about it. I mean, it's blood pressure and your hearing and vision and your breathing and your heart rate. And basically, they just want to make sure you're not going to keel over behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound vehicle. And I think it was only $50. It's all I paid for my physical was $50. If you have any medical issues, you need to let them know up front. For example, I have a CPAP machine. I've had it for the last 7 years. So I had to go to my local medical supply store and get a download for my CPAP. And I just took it with me, gave it to the doctor. He looked at it, he says, okay, fine, and then signed me off, and it was all good to go. If you're going to take the 1-month course, I suggest you have enough money to pay your bills for the month. I mean, unless you're still going to work your full-time job and go to school, which is pretty rough. A couple guys in my class did that. I didn't have a job when I went to the CDL school, which was fine because, I took I had money in savings, so I was good to go anyway. Let's see, and I'm sorry I keep going back and forth. Yes, I've got a notebook here that I'm going by, so I don't forget things. Okay, so please bear with me. Let's see, clothing. You want clothing for the season? Because when you're outside in the yard and you're backing, you're going to be practicing your backing. After you get your CDL permit, well, even if you don't have your CDL permit, you can stay on the property where your school is, and you don't have to have anything. You can just drive there on the parking lot, and you don't have to have anything for that. You're going to practice your backing. You're going to practice your straight back. You're going to practice your parallel, and you're going to practice offset parking. Go to YouTube and type in parallel parking and offset parking, or I'm sorry, parallel backing and offset backing, and you can see videos of what that is. Oh, let's see, continuing on. So you're going to be outside because you're not going to be in the truck all the time. You may have to stand outside and wait, but you'll also, like we did, we had a sheet for our pre-trip inspection, and it's 168 parts in the truck that you have to know, the truck and the trailer that you have to know in order to pass your test. So if you're not backing in the truck, then you need to be over in another truck practicing your pre-trip inspection. You're going to need gloves because you're going to be coupling and uncoupling the trailer. You're going to be messing with the glad hands and the electrical connection, the pigtail. I would also suggest a hat if it's the summertime because the sun can be brutal out there. You're going to want rain gear. a coat if it's cold.